hell's going on tonight. There's got to be somebody having a hangout, somewhere that's got like everyone. So I just invited all my goddamn lists. Oh, Kazoom shows up last fucking minute. Hey man, how's it going?
Hi. How's it going?
Slow fucking night, man. I'm behind schedule as it is. I think that normally I start inviting people like a half hour before the show starts, but tonight my wife was basically sucking up the airwaves in here. She got in a conversation with somebody through one of my other accounts, Hangout, off-air kind of thing, and she was going back and forth for good grief. I'm not even sure how long, and I'm like, I gotta shuffle in like a half hour.
Oh, did
like,
you?
Okay, you have the computer. I'm like, I have 2 minutes. Shit.
Oh, 13. I know you. Or sorry, Shadow. The other night you were mentioning about Brett Keane and how he turns on people's cameras. Yeah, that was kind of a big thing, I guess, that happened in G-Man's Hangout. Star Splitter's camera got turned on a couple times by Brett Keane.
Yep.
How do you do that? That's kind of meant.
Well, hang on. No. There's this thing called the control panel. I'll hit you with it for a second.
Yeah, turn my camera. It's fine. Just turn it on.
No. Share controls with Kazoom. Now, if you click on the control panel thingamajig on the left, you'll see that there's a number of different icons there. There's a little mic thing. There's one that looks like a little camera, and you can actually control people that way, include it as well as mess with their volume. So if you click on the little camera thing next to either me or Prudent, it would turn the camera on.
Wow.
Yeah,
that could be really problematic.
Yeah.
I don't even. What the fuck were the people who designed Google Plus or Google Hangouts, for that matter, thinking when they added that feature?
I'm pretty sure it was mostly intended to turn cameras off.
Yes. Yeah, and for the sake of turning cameras off, somebody comes in here and starts doing something lewd, you better believe their camera's going the fuck off. So that is probably what inspired it. I don't think they had Keane in mind and him being a douche and turning people's cameras off. And they want to try and have some degree of anonymity in mind at the time.
Yeah. Or worse yet, somebody could be doing something incredibly lewd off camera, and then it gets turned on.
Actually, there was an occasion when I'd been told that somebody had a habit of turning on cameras. Now, with the cameras, of course, you can have real cameras or you can have virtual cameras. Now, virtual cameras include things like that little puppet thing, that has the, what is it called, the face rig. That, for example, that is a virtual camera. So when you set that up, face rig is your camera. So if you have your camera off and they turn it on, they're going to see your face rig. Another one is XSplit, which, as you know, has quite a bit of things you can do with it. For example, you can sit there and load, say, an animation of donkey sex on your screen, on just some other window, and put that screen region into XSplit, and then you have your camera off. So if they turn your fucking camera on, they're going to get donkey sex. And I'm not going to say that I've ever done that, but it works. I will leave it at that. And you want to see a Hangout having to go off air fucking quickly? That's one way to do it.
Yep.
So this will teach you not to take the fucking chance.
Yeah. I'm having problems with this app. I don't know if I'm going to be able to come back. It keeps crashing and stuff.
Did you manage to make it to the other place?
He has a number of updates on his channel pertaining to that. You can go and check on them because, and he does have a number of updates. It sounds, from what I saw of the titles at least, I haven't had time to check them out. I've been too busy with other crap. It sounds like things are doing better now. That and his tone of voice certainly sounds better. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Out of everybody who joined these Hangouts, I've watched your videos. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about right. I hope you didn't bother wasting the time on the one I did earlier.
I did.
It was just a quick fuck you.
And I agree with your wife. That should be your new closing.
Oh, nice. Okay. Best interesting thing. Star Splitter actually had the band cam on while G-Man's live hangout was going on. So, and he actually has the video showing like the actual recording of, on his perspective, like from like his first-person view of Brett Keane turning on and off his camera over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, at least we have some evidence against the fucker, because
he should have done a search for donkey sex.
It's like, G-Man, like he always is like, well, I gotta have some evidence before you make that kind of claim. But it's like he's so fucking selective with every piece of evidence
Well,
because he's not.
man, he's a fucking dumbass.
Yes.
The hangout that I was having off air prior to this, that my wife ended up talking to Jade for like 2 fucking hours at the tail end of, that I was like, I need to shuffle, get out the. But of course, as my wife, I can't really do that. But in any case, during that, it started off with us talking a little bit about G-Man, because the whole situation there, what happened was, as Nodvik doesn't follow this shit, and he's a smart one as a result of that, I'd have to say. He was in a hangout that was, what is it? It's FF. It's
Forbidden Fruit.
Forbidden Fruit. Thank you. Forbidden Fruit and his wife, whose name's what, Sarah, something like that. She sounds interesting. Forbidden Fruit. Every other atheist on here, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen so far. But the girlfriend or whatever, rather not wife, but the girlfriend, she seems like she has an interesting story. I'd love to talk with her at some point, because that just fascinates me. But, you know, they're sitting there going back and forth with them, and they brought up this child that had died, which is always a tragedy. Well, scripturally, the child dies, they're not saved, the child didn't have an opportunity to save Jesus, bye-bye, sorry, you're in hell. Or purgatory, if you're going to believe in that, even though the Catholic Church decided that it doesn't exist anymore. I don't know how that works.
Oh, they don't. Oh, yeah, I'm actually a former Catholic, and I don't even.
They retconned that out of existence.
Oh.
So he's sitting there arguing basically what's referred to as, you could either call it the age of reason, but it's usually the age of accountability. And the age of accountability is that a child under a certain age is considered innocent in the eyes of God, pretty much regardless of what they've done, because they're a kid, they don't know any better. But the age of accountability isn't biblical. It isn't scriptural. It's doctrinal. It's the doctrine of the church and the church leaders, and it's gone back a pretty far way, but it's, strictly speaking, not biblically based. G-Man said it was. He was wrong. G-Man can't ever accept when he's wrong. So he argued to ad infinitum, whatever, that he was right, that it was in the Bible, and then started quoting verses that had nothing the fuck to do with it, because, you know, G-Man. Yep. He's going to sit there and claim it's supported when it's not. But it's doctrinal. It's not scriptural. And then the hangout that he did earlier was him sitting there bitching, whining and complaining that he was treated so poorly, insisting, well, they didn't win any kind of argument because, you know, they're atheists. Regardless of the fact, G-Man just can't sit there and even bother to do the research to say, okay, is this something that's really biblical or not? And instead of looking for the one site that agrees with him, that has some wingnut sitting there, you know, saying, well, these 2 words in this verse, and these 4 words in this verse, and these 7 in this verse, kind of, you can almost imply that they might mean something taken completely out of context, ran through a blender, dumped out into a glass, and then dumped over the head of a jackass. Maybe it will then mean what he wants it to. And this is kind of how that goes. It's a doctrinal thing. It's not scripturally supported, and the dipshit just can't admit when he's made a mistake. Potentially an honest mistake, but he just, you know, and that's really the summation of that. And beyond that, who gives a fuck? And sorry that I'm boring the crap out of my viewers with this, but I was asked.
Oh, you're on it right now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so people...
We've got the... Oh, wait, it's over... Yeah, fuck it.
So people will see me in the sexy hat?
No, they'll see you in the goofy hat.
No, fuck you.
Filters,
What?
man. You gotta use the right filters.
God,
But Ryan, you will always be known as the Squid Boy.
Hold on.
Squid Boy.
I forgot Wolf knows my real name, but well, most people probably know my real name. I just realized something. I don't want to complain about my hat because I don't want to turn into Neo.
Dude,
you will never be. You will never be Neo.
It looks like
you are too calm to be Neo. You are too Diet Coke to be Neo. You're like the Dexter. You're like the Dexter to Neo.
Oh, man.
Is that a monster?
And I'm just the jackass that hosts shuffles, but I'm good with that. So we started off the night talking about donkey sex, and then went on to talk about G-Man. There might be a connection here. I'm not sure what it is.
G-Man's a complete jackass. He actually compared slavery to athletes, like football players and basketball players.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, or having a job or what have you. He does this shit because, well, honestly, if you know, this is the video I put up earlier. I said this. I'm going to say it again. He sits there running around going, "Watch my video. Did you watch my video? Watch my video." But he won't watch anyone else's fucking video. And I put one that actually had this, you know, explaining how it worked in relation to 613 laws, that both sides are wrong, blah, blah, blah. And the fucktard would know it if he ever bothered to watch it, but he won't because he's an idiot.
No, I
No. I gotta bring up one more thing. I'll let Rod finish, but I just gotta bring this one thing up. When I got in there, he was trying to explain this ridiculous. He brought up this argument about slavery, right? And about how, okay, according to evolutionary theory, we're all animals, we're all social animals. Therefore, how is owning a dog like how is it, you know, bad as opposed to slavery or something like that? Like the dog is a slave or something. I'm all like, I explained it to him that you can't own another human because, you know, the human has aspirations. They could explain to you that they don't want to be owned. Like a friggin' dog or a cat can't do that. I mean, we domesticated these species.
Well,
it's like,
I'd actually want to tack on the back of that I don't think the cats or dogs understand that you
yeah. That's also a major thing, and he actually contested this. Okay. So I mean, if they're really, I mean, if the most inept apologists want to go down this route, fine. I'm just not gonna entertain it because that's just way too fucking stupid for me. That makes the cells in my brain commit apoptosis. They literally self-destruct upon hearing this sophistry.
Actually, I believe that the reason why they do that is to try to save the rest of the organism. I think they're sacrificing themselves so that you may live.
Most likely.
They're dying for his Schwins.
I think every time G-Man does something incredibly stupid every day, I know that's a very common thing that's going to happen. All I got to do is, because I finally put this on my video, on my channel, sorry. All I have to do is refer to a clip from The Office where Stanley yells at Michael, and it pretty much encapsulates everything I think about G-Man, where here's what the words are: "You are out of your goddamn little mind. Every day you do something stupider than you did the day before." That is the weird thing with G-Man. He literally does do that. The one thing that he does that is so stupid, it's stupider than the thing he did the day before. And you think to yourself, there's no way he's going to top that. He cannot get any stupider than that. Somehow, some way, he finds a way to top it.
Prudent, I gotta call bullshit. I've got to call bullshit on that because I think he's already had his epic moment, although he took the video offline. Granted, I do have a copy of it, and I'm half tempted to mirror it. It was the hangout in which he insisted that man knew of good and evil before they ate of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, even though shortly after eating of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, it says, and then they knew good from evil. Mm-hmm. And this is pointed out by several people, and by the end of it, you had Matt 4-19 come in here. He's like, hey, Matt'll have my back. Matt'll have my back. And he's like, sorry, brother, you're wrong. And Jimmy's like, well, I'll just make a video on it. Please, brother, don't make a video on it. Just please read. If you want to, fine, but do your research, please. And G-Man made a video. That was kind of his.
Dude.
No, 13.
I think there's something that beats that, dude. He said that there were no starving Christians. So apparently the laws of physics just stopped with Christians.
Actually, it was that's incorrect. He said there were no starving children, Christian or otherwise.
No. He did say that there were no starving. No, he said this. He didn't say there were no starving Christians. He just said that Christians don't starve.
No, he said in that. Actually, he repeated it. He said it in one of his hangouts apparently because I heard all the fuck about it because I don't watch his hangouts. Well, other than when somebody says, "Hey, you were mentioned," where? But in the hangout that he did with, why can't I remember this guy's name? Fruit guy.
Forbidden fruit.
Forbidden fruit, thank you. That's going to stick in my head eventually, sorry. It's not an intentional thing. He repeated it in Forbidden Fruit's hangout. She's sitting there talking about going to this country in Africa where kids are literally starving to death. And he's like, oh yeah, but missionaries go over there and da-da-da-da, and God takes care of them this way. She's like, there are still kids dying in the street daily, all around me. And he's like, oh, but they're not starving because Christians are helping them. What? He's maintaining, even when somebody's saying that they went to a place and were watching children die, he's maintaining, well, children don't die of starvation.
That is just, I don't know whether to be just saddened by that someone...
He even made jokes with Beckel about how they are supposedly starving in the first world, but I mean it's a joke because they live in America. They don't live it. They're not even meeting the poor standards within America, so they don't care.
Oh, I think that was one of the Skylar fiction videos, and then I remember exactly what happened. I think later on, Skylar actually went into a G-Man hangout just to call him out on all his BS, and G-Man just went off the fucking rails after that, yelling at everything left and right. He made such a big ass of himself, he actually deleted that hangout. Luckily, a few people were able to copy it, and it's up on YouTube. You can find it.
There's a reason why I gave him the nickname of Ass Clown.
Good.
We shouldn't even make this guy like a topic of conversation, but sometimes he just says some things that are just so stupid, and you think he just cannot get any stupider, and he does it.
Please, hang on a second. I want to illustrate something. The other day I was sitting there driving down the street. I mean, this, of course, is a true story. And I was sitting there, and there was a little bit of a traffic jam, and we got up to where it was, and the emergency vehicles were going by because this accident just happened. There was a car in this position here, aiming forward. This is the correct way that people should be driving. There was another car up here on top of it, on an angle. We spent the entire remainder of the 40-minute drive trying to figure out how in the fuck that car got up on top of this other car, facing the other direction. Mm-hmm. We spent, 40 minutes trying to figure out how in the fuck this bizarre-ass fucking wreck happened.
If you're talking about the one I think you're talking about, what you should do is go back to the picture and notice something for me. The car to the right in the other parking spot, untouched entirely.
No, this was on the highway.
Oh,
this
okay.
is something I drove past the other day.
Oh, wow.
And literally we're like, well, maybe it fell off of a car carrier. But it's this kind of thing that is such a fucking disaster, such a fucking wreck, that defies all laws of reasoning, that you're looking at it going, how did that happen? And then you discuss it going, well, how do you think this could have happened? And this is kind of the way a lot of these G-Men comments are. It's like, how do you think he fucking got to that weird-ass fucking conclusion?
I thought you were talking about this.
No, not that. No.
Oh.
No, this. Unfortunately, I didn't even get the opportunity to take a picture of it. I was just like, what the fuck was, as you're going past, looking at the emergency vehicles in this car like this on top of another one in the middle of the highway. Was one of them going the wrong way of the highway? No, there's too much traffic for this, and they're near the mall, and people are returning presents. No. What the fuck?
Well, his syllogism, I mean, just the way he structures it is so warped and flimsy that it just, when he expresses it, it literally, it's so inherently. It's so inherently like incoherent that it's just gibberish. I mean, ultimately, he doesn't end up saying anything.
This one I stared at for a good 15 minutes, wondering how the hell that other car next to it is untouched.
Yeah. Now, mind you, it was certainly a different situation than that one, but it was one of these things that you sit there looking at what you have to look at. You have to stare and go, how did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? And really, with most of the arguments the boy makes, yeah. And I know I shouldn't call him that. He's 38, but my God, he doesn't act it.
No, he acts like a child.
Oh, my gosh.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello, Becky.
Good evening.
How's it going?
A little exasperated. Prudent was like, I'm sorry to keep talking about G-Man, but kind of thing, and I'm like, no, I understand it's a fucking train wreck. You can't look away. It's just...
well, especially after his... his
He might be a pope.
debacle on the Forbidden Fruit hangout. That was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, anyone with forget an idea of theology. Spend 10 seconds on Google. Look up, okay, is this doctrinal or is this scriptural? Boom, there you go. Okay, you get 1,000 hits explaining to you, well, it's not actually in the scripture. However, it is doctrine. And well, what do you know? I'm wondering if he found some page that justified his view. How many times did he have to click next set of pages, next set of pages, next set of pages, until he found one idiot that said otherwise? Or maybe he tailored his search. What the fuck?
Well, the part I found amusing, actually I found the whole thing amusing, but the one part I found amusing is when he kept insisting that they click on the link, because his link wasn't working very well. His computer wasn't working very well. And they said, well, but you've got the Bible right there. Why don't you just go to the Bible?
Well, because it's not...
And he kept saying, because he doesn't know what's in it.
Yeah.
His knowledge of the Bible is pathetic. And after this little thing, I wonder if he can read, honestly.
Well, my favorite, though, of all those weird things...
I didn't see the part where he's... I'll have to make a point of checking it out later. But how did it occur? Like on Forbidden Fruit channel.
Well, they asked him, especially what's her name, Sarah, asked him to show a biblical verse that talked about the age of consent. That at under a certain age.
Not age of consent. Age of
well, yeah. Sorry, you're correct. Age of under a certain age. If a child was under a certain age, it would automatically go to heaven. Yeah. You're right. I was using the wrong term.
Yeah, age of consent something different, Jay.
Yeah, I know. My mind. Age of accountability is what I meant. Age of accountability. Under the age of accountability, if a child dies, it automatically goes to heaven. Now, they were asking...
Not biblical, this is doctrinal.
Yeah, that's a popular belief in Texas, actually.
Yeah, and it's... so they were asking him for a biblical verse to support that. He could not come up with a biblical verse. He kept deflecting. He finally came up with this link, and it's very clear from the link, if you look at it, that he did a Google search.
Yep.
And because it's actually
one page that might have agreed with him.
Right, because he looked, and it actually shows on the screen that you know how when you do a Google search, it says Google / age of accountability or whatever / you could see he did a Google search, and then he insisted that they click on the link that he had just found because his computer doesn't work very well and he couldn't click on the link.
Well, the thing is, if they clicked on the Google search link and then they clicked on any of the links on that page, they would have found it's not biblically supported.
Right, and they pointed that out. They actually clicked on the link finally, and they pointed out to him, well, first of all, in part of the link you can see the verses talked about. So G-Man could have easily pulled up his Bible and looked up those verses, but he didn't. He would not do that. So they, what's his name, Forbidden Fruit, clicked on the link, read out the verses, and then criticized them, pointing out that, well, this doesn't fit because the child was never born. What they're talking about, let me go back a bit,
there are those out there that will try to say, okay, we could try to infer it based upon this, and this, but even the people that are doing this will say, we're going so far out of the fucking scope of what these things are talking about to do this.
Right, but the point I wanted to make out is that I forgot her. Sarah. What they were talking about is Sarah's niece who died right before she was born. Mm-hmm. Okay, so she died during labor. So what the point they were making is that one verse said that basically.
I've got to say something here.
Okay.
Because at this point she states, this was my niece, etc., etc., etc. This is how much attention G-Turd was playing.
Right.
He then says to her something about her daughter. If she wants to see her daughter again, she better repent and turn to Jesus and all this other crap. He didn't even pay enough attention to realize that she said it was her niece.
Several times.
Yeah.
She made it very clear that it was her niece. So, fundamentally Forbidden Fruit. Sorry, whenever I think of FF, unfortunately my mind goes elsewhere. Apologies to everyone. so Forbidden Fruit then read out the verses, and he pointed out that the verses didn't apply. At least a couple of them didn't apply because the child was not born alive. So, and G-Man just, rather than try to explain the verses or get into what the verses meant, or look in his Bible.
One of the verses, incidentally, was about an adulterous mother. I don't put that in. Did you catch that as well?
Yeah, I did. That's because of his search. You know, when you do a search, all kinds of crap comes up. But so rather than try to support the verses by saying, well, yes, but you must understand what this verse is referring to and what happens is you tie all these verses together, or whatever explanation, he basically just said, you're not doing proper exegesis. Well, the guy he's talking to is an atheist.
I mean, good.
How do you expect an atheist to do proper exegesis? G-Man, if you bother to listen to this, that's your fucking job.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't even listen to his own goddamn self when he's talking.
Well, this is why I question.
Life begins at conception.
Well, I question whether or not he's actually literate. Because how could he not bother to read these passages in the Bible?
When you are claiming that children under a certain age is sinless, and one of the verses you go to is one in a psalm in which a person is referring to their own mother, saying that they were born in sin from the sin of their mother, talking about the mother being, kind of a whore.
Yeah, and I actually looked that verse up and looked up different translations of that verse.
All I know is that the whole original sin thing is a disgusting belief to have, in my opinion. But aside from that, the consequences of this of the age of accountability thing is even worse. There was a lady in Texas, either in the late 90s or early 2000s, that believed in the age of accountability, and she took her infant son and put him alive into the wood burning stove so that he would have a guaranteed slot into heaven.
Yeah, people do some fucked up shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there have been several cases of this lately, sadly, including a woman who just recently killed her 10-year-old son because she thought he would then go straight to heaven.
I have to cut in with something right quick. Now, on the Insomnia Shuffle, we normally don't get into this too much. Now, granted, any topic goes in the new shuffles, so I don't really give a shit in that regard. But at the same point, there's a lot of people irritated. I'm a little bit later in the show going to make a couple additional statements, but we'll leave that for now. Go on.
Okay.
Just a disclaimer.
I'm about to get disconnected for a little bit because I'm going to be running the microwave.
Oh, okay.
My frustration, though, I mean, yeah, we have this one individual, and I feel horrible that it seems like the only time that I let people talk about him are the times that Ed shows up. Every other time, we've had these great fucking conversations. In other hangouts, in one of them we were talking about like advanced notions of spirituality. We had one in which we were doing nothing but going to this Deepak Chopra quote generator and just rattling off random silly quotes back and forth, having a grand old time just goofing off with it. No, he comes in one hangout on the new channel that I'm letting people talk about G-Tard.
That reminds me, after the other day when we had the good conversation, not the Deepak Chopra, but before that, after you left, me and Epic actually continued the conversation for a while, and I think I actually changed his mind on the paradoxes.
Yeah, neat. The thing is, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of the theology, though, there are things they could do that would allow them to square some of these things and make them make some degree of sense. And a lot of that goes back to how the Jews regard a lot of the tales, the flood, that's a so-so story. It's not meant to be taken literally. Same kind of thing with Genesis. This is just how they explained things to people when they didn't know any better, and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of this kind of stuff. But they won't go there, and even if they did stick with some of their doctrines, if you take the notion of the whole original sin and the knowledge of good and evil and take that as a fall away of innocence, that they were without fault before that because they didn't know good from evil, then maybe you could make some sense of it. But what frustrates me is these people, when you even propose this, are just like, no, we must stick with our literal stupid whatever the
Yeah, and the Earth is 6,000 years old too. Thanks.
Yeah.
Fine.
Thank you for making your religion looks even more idiotic.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
really,
actually,
really,
I
really
actually,
embarrassing
they actually
those
brought up.
Christians who don't follow that particular line of reasoning.
Hang on, go ahead, Bolt.
Yeah, they like in G-Man's hangout yesterday, they actually brought up the issue of the flood, and I asked the the exact mechanics of of just basic genetics and just population dynamics, how these things are gonna get reproduced and going here to and fro like kangaroos and koalas and stuff like that. Like literally asking how exactly is this stuff going to physically happen in reality. And, it's either I don't know or some other nonsense. Like it was possible for a man and woman to have 20 kids and they could hook up with their brothers and sisters and keep doing that.
Let me ask you, if a couple have 20 kids, how many look like the milkman?
At least 4.
If Jimmy has 2 apples and Sally has 3 apples, why don't they just shut up and eat?
Or
Oh dear.
I don't know. I'm actually well. I did deal with him today just because the other day in one of his hangouts he was like, "Oh yeah, and I'd like to get 13 heathens in here," and somebody pointed me out to it. I'm like, "No, not going to happen. You are not worth my time." And yeah, then I just wanted to make sure that he didn't sit there and cry and jump up and down because I'm running under a new channel now, a new channel ID. And if he's going to sit there and try and request that I come in for some frickin' reason, the least he can do is pay enough attention to the world around him to note that I have a different channel ID. You know, kiss my butt.
Would you consider talking to him at all?
Frankly, no, but, it'd be nice if he at least acknowledged that there was a world outside.
I understand.
He doesn't listen.
No.
You cannot talk to someone who refuses to listen.
And this isn't something, of course, limited to him. This is something we see in all walks of life, all different ideologies and viewpoints and this and that. Yesterday, for example, we were talking about the topic of racism and the current dialogue that's going on right now in culture. And I was actually complaining about the Black Lives Matter signs because all lives matter. You shouldn't be making it about one demographic. When you have the number of police killings every year at 600 and something black individuals, 500 and something white individuals, 503, I think it was, mentally ill people, and then you move down to it was 303, and this was for a 2-year time period for the Hispanic, and all they're focusing on is one particular kind of people that were killed in police shootings, and they're ignoring all the others. I've got a problem with that.
I understand. The sign
picture related.
I mean, all you got to do is call them and say, all lives matter. Human lives matter. You're exactly right. I mean, back in the day, like in the 60s...
Don't be a racist. Be like Mario.
Not Vic. Are you lagged, or do you realize that there's other people talking?
I don't hear anyone else talking right now.
Okay, you might be lagged.
Get your phone.
Let me turn up his volume. Hang on, Blue.
Yeah, I will. Sorry about that.
There we go. Your volume's up, Blue. Go for it.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, back in the...
Let's talk about the Butt King.
There we go.
You should be audible now.
Bud King. Okay, I surrender the floor. I'm going to smoke weed and listen. Go on.
Okay, he surrenders the floor. Never mind. Oh well, Ed's out.
Okay.
And well, Ed's out of here anyway. Found a better conversation to go to.
That's not true. It'll just be better when I'm high.
Well, one of my soapboxes is of course pertaining to mental illness. It's kind of a little bit of a personal issue on multiple levels. And I'm still trying to get my act together and figure out what the hell I'm going to do for a series, but I'm not doing jack shit until January rolls around. I'm having problems. Apparently on Spirit Science's channel, he seems to be missing a couple of his early videos. So I found one massive video of like his first 12 flippin' episodes that I do not want to download just to go after his crap.
You
I don't
gotta go after
how you
spirit
can
science, man. That's it's a pretty big fish right there. That's probably good though.
That's
I mean,
for me, Prudent, easy pickings as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, I mean,
He's
My
smaller than
favorite-
the Church of Scientology.
that's true. But he's a big fish in terms of YouTube.
Well, he's a moderate fish, I guess. He's not really a big fish.
I couldn't
I don't know.
tolerate
Uh,
those videos.
I'll assume we've all seen.
The anti-psychiatry fucktards I'm going after are much bigger fish than spirit science.
All right.
Agreed. That's
The
agreed.
worst. I mean, the funniest shit I've ever heard from spirit science, especially, it's his view of history. The funny thing is, before that history movie thing that he made, he starts off by saying, well, you don't have to take any of this as fact, and then he goes on to present everything as if it is fact. That's the frustrating thing.
The thing is, spirit science is, as far as I'm concerned, kind of the ends to a means. Because he does have a following, he does have a good number of New Agers that just hang on his every frickin' word, even though his words come from whatever the hell book he read most recently. And he doesn't seem to have any concepts that are necessarily his own. It's just, so-and-so said such and such and I bought it. But through going after him, I'm hoping that I will have other people that'll sit there, come to give me shit, then I can see what their content is and go after some of their crap. And that's really it. It's more a matter of trying to get more people chasing my tail so I can turn around and bite them.
That gravy's good. This needs more gravy.
Gravy?
What the fuck?
Gravy?
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do it though, 13, because
Gravy.
I couldn't deal with spirit science and that nonsense for more than 10 minutes. It's just
I did the whole shaman thing for damn near 20 fucking years. I know the framework. I know the thought processes involved. And I know the lexicon and the bullshit associated with it. I know where it fails, and I can explain the mechanisms behind a good portion of it. So I think basically there's two ways to go after it. You can go after it from either a scientific or spiritual framework, and calling on my time back when I was doing the whole shaman thing, I can go after it using their own frickin' language, and I think that might have some benefit.
When else would you get to say the words "the wholeness of being"?
Actually, I don't.
Aw.
The wholeness of being. Yeah, the wholeness of being what? A pain in the ass? And this is that. And I ran into this while I was dealing with the Church of Scientology. Now, there are some things that were said in some of those texts that it's like, okay, this kind of makes sense. But then immediately after they start making sense, they take it way the fuck too far. It's this concept of if you approach life with a positive outlook, other people will respond more positively toward you. This makes sense. But then saying that you acting in a positive manner will somehow rewire the fucking brains of people around you, forcing them to become more positive or whatever, you fucked up.
well, that's a fine
It's
rule
just
of
like when I
thumb.
was going to the Buddhist meetings, people that would care to see how I was doing with being a new person there, I would ask them the same question, and none of them could answer it for me. Because of the Buddhist idea of karma, absolutely everything that happens to you, no matter what, is a result of your own karma. Which means if you get mugged in the park, that's because of your bad karma that you're getting punished. So I asked them, if you get mugged in the park because of your bad karma, to fulfill that bad karma, the person doing the mugging, being that they're fulfilling the karma, are they gaining bad karma or are they just fulfilling yours?
Yes.
I really don't have a problem with some of the more reasonable positive
That's
thinking,
amazing.
positive thinking things. I don't see why. I mean, there's scientific reasoning to believe why it's better to be positive and have a good morale than a bad
But
one.
here's the thing. It's one thing when you're saying, the power of positive thinking is a wonderful thing, and if you think more positively, yada, yada, yada. It's a different thing to make claims along the lines of if you are thinking positively while driving down the street, all the lights will turn green.
Oh.
Yeah, and this is the problem is these people that are
That's a
involved.
little different than
Yeah,
a smile wins more than a
far.
frown.
Yeah, I mean they just take it way too far. I could get into some of the notions of it, but I'm going to save that to when I actually get on the topic properly, because I'm going to try and explain some of this crap so it makes sense in terms of you understand what the concept behind it is. You're still going to think it's batshit fucking crazy, but you'll at least understand what these people think they're talking about.
You know, I have to mention this because this is ironic. I just remembered this as you said that. One day I was driving down a well-known street here that has the lights just, in my opinion, totally screwed up. And yet I hit every single light on green. I couldn't understand how I was hitting every light on green. I was in really good mood thinking, wow, what did they do to the lights that they hit them all on green? And then I suddenly noticed that the car that was in front of me, that looked just like a normal car, suddenly lit up with blue lights. I was following an unmarked cop car, and they have these little signal thingies in the front of the cars that turn all the lights green.
Yep.
Now, if I hadn't seen the car light up, I would have, well, of course, I'm a rational person. I'd have thought something just hit right for some reason. All of the lights magically, well, not magically, but just suddenly happened. I suddenly happened to hit them right. But it was just like, wow, I can't believe I'm hitting all the lights right. This is fantastic. Oh, fuck, no wonder.
However, if you're a Scientologist and you sit there and think that you're able to use your will to actualize things into being, you have just decided that your will, your desire for all the lights to turn green, just turned them green for you.
Right. It had nothing to do with the cop car in front of me, the unmarked cop car in front of me.
Yeah, and this is part of why, you know, I'm going to be going after it, because I think it'll be funny. Now, I don't know how funny other people will think it. To me, it'll amuse the crap out of me, because I'm tired of, you know, these, oh yes, here's an excellent method for astral projection, and you're sitting there and you're like, dude, you just described a basic meditation. What the fuck are you talking about? And then you have somebody in the comments that starts fighting with you. This is actually something that I ran into here. And then you have somebody in the comments and they're telling you how real it is, and they're not describing astral projection either. It's like, okay, you don't even know the concepts, the bullshit concepts that you're sitting here trying to promote. The fuck?
Just things people do. I think
I think here's a problem. It's that I get the term spiritual in the sense of, you know, nurturing thoughts like you know, good feelings toward people, and just like that conscious understanding that everything in the universe is mutually dependent. You know, I get that, but the thing is, we don't make any metaphysical claims based on these subjective feelings. You know, it's based on what is readily communicated and capable of being, you know, reproduced intersubjectively, based on the same circumstances, to come to some similar conclusion about reality.
That's right.
Well, that's
how it actually works.
Stepping from the notion of spiritual to the notion of supernatural. Yes, kind of does differentiate a little bit there. Now, a lot of these people claim to be able to do supernatural things. Now, as I said, you know, I did the shaman thing for ages, and I actually was, so to speak, taught to look at it quite a bit differently. In terms of, you know, anything that could be supernatural, it's just shit that we don't have a fucking explanation for. Either science will show there's something to it,
right,
or science will show that we've been full of shit and tricking ourselves the whole fucking way. But either way, you know, it's just shit that we don't know yet. And in that sense, it's like, okay, that's cool. And my way of looking at it was like, okay, well, here's something that I've experienced or what have you. Can I replicate it? If I couldn't, okay, fine, I'm fucking with myself. And this was kind of the way I approached it when I was dealing with it. But these people, and I'm using that as, this is broad generality, of course, but in general, these people, they don't do that. It's just like, okay, the lights turned green on this one occasion. So it's like, I know that I somehow did that. So how did I do it? I got to figure it out so I can do it again. Well, maybe you didn't do it. Maybe there's another explanation. Have you thought of that? No, I know I must have. Oh, shut up. And this is really where I get frustrated with dealing with these people.
Well, on that basis, we're just dealing with personal experience, and that's not, you know, that's not even close to objective. I mean, you can't You can't even talk about someone's, or you even try to disprove someone's personal experience. I mean, that's subjective. That's not. You can't reproduce that in any way.
Well, here's the thing, though. You can say, well, you certainly, you can't, disprove somebody's personal experience. You can get them to evaluate it, though. You can get them to consider it. You can have them give it some actual thought. I mean, I do have quite a number of things in my own toolbox that, still to this day, don't have an explanation. And I'm okay with that. I don't need an explanation for it, per se. If one comes up, great, then it'll be explained. Some things are just not explained right now. Why? Because I can't fucking reproduce them.
I keep thinking of the time now
I
where
went to a meeting once. It was for something Casey, the
Yeah,
most powerful psychic in history. And I was just a guest of someone at the time. But the lady presenting, she gave a test to see what kind of psychic you were. And I was sitting there watching her present the test. I could see the look in her eye, that look that you can see in Scam Artist eyes, that they're buying it, I can't believe it, they're buying it look in her eye. And it was just hilarious.
Okay, Blue, take the mic.
Oh, yes, thank you. Forgive me, I keep going back to when I was very young, and thank you. Go reload again.
Yeah.
Was with my grandmother in the car, and we were going down to Majors, and we hit all the green lights. But what was apparent to me is that Grandma was trying. She was speeding up for some and slowing down for others. I mean, she was trying to make all the lights. Maybe that's part of the reason why you made it, too.
So I'm dealing with the.
But this is the thing. Instead of simply accepting it as being some kind of magical crap, thing
Right.
else might have been. And it's that evaluation that these people aren't going, sorry, go ahead, Wolf.
No, I mean, I get that. But anyway, so, yeah. So I'm dealing with, like, the precept. Like, I've been studying that recently, I mean, whenever you hear someone say that because they have a certain worldview that counts for all knowledge, like you know deep down it's pure sophistry and it's bullshit. It's just a matter of choosing the right words carefully to explain and extrapolate how it's bullshit. So I did some recent research on a few of the preceptors. Let's see, Arcane, Island, and the like. And I'm actually going to talk with one of their big promoters of that, Son of Dr. Dino, next month.
Yeah.
Eric Hoven.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
it'll basically just. I won't say it'll retire it, but it'll make the Matrix logic even more redundant than what it actually is.
Okay.
I have nothing but respect for people who meet pre-suppers and young Earth creationists and these.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. It's interesting, just how it actually works and all that stuff, and how I actually apply this knowledge and stuff like that. But it's also shared, And the weird thing is with this whole precept argument is that honestly, even though it's pure sophistry, it gets you to the thing and actually experience the philosophy behind these concepts and how whether or not we can take it pragmatically or whatever.
I don't know. For me, at this point, it just kind of makes me roll my eyes.
But respect for people who meet pre-suppers and young Earth creationists and these.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. It's interesting, just how it actually works.
Okay, guys, I don't know about you, but I seem to hear people talking over each other.
No. I just refreshed the screen and forgot to mute it. That was my bad.
Oh, okay.
That was my fuck up. I just was like, wait a minute, he's not here. Why is he talking? And then looked over and said, ah, shit. Problem with two screens is that sometimes you don't realize that something's actually running on the other one.
Okay.
It was actually funny because when he talked about the whole preceptor thing, that would have seemed relevant to the conversation, like if the conversation was actually moving forward, that was a relevant point.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Where'd this come from? What the fuck's going on?
I know. I thought you like had him like on a different hangout.
No, fucked up. I don't do that. Being in 2 hangouts at the same time is something I think is fucking bullshit, and I will prohibit people from being in hangouts for. Now, prohibiting myself from being in my own hangout would be a little tricky, but yeah.
I think Xbox does that from time to time. He's able to pull off 2 hangouts at once. I don't know how he does it.
Actually, he shares his account. That would be how.
Why wouldn't he share his accounts? I mean, it's so expensive to make one.
No, it's not. These accounts are free.
That was a joke, Prudent.
Jesus. Fuck, you really don't know anything about sarcasm. You're like Sheldon Cooper.
I am like Sheldon Cooper, and I take that as a compliment, not as an insult.
We just meant in regards to sarcasm.
Yeah. You're a perpetual virgin.
That is not true. That is not.
I agree.
Oh, if I tried, honestly, here's the thing. I've never actually tried to seduce women, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have as much bad luck as you might think. I'm surprisingly enjoyable offline.
We were totally talking about sarcasm and nothing else.
Wow.
Prudent, let me give you a piece of advice. You do have that whole twink thing going for you. If you play up the virgin angle, there are a lot of women who would be happy to relieve you of that burden.
Are we going to go back to giving him a button to fight again?
No, it's not.
Hey, to be fair, he did accept our advice right after he didn't do it in time.
Well, I have known men who have been a virgin more than once.
How do you become a virgin more than once?
Because it works.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. They claim to be one.
See what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay.
Which is why women are so skeptical of such things.
Shit.
Yeah. But Prudent could pull it off, I think.
How do you know I'm not already pulling it off?
Well, you may be. If you are, kudos to you.
Yeah, you're pulling it all right.
But I don't think it's going on.
I might or might not be. That is up for you to decide. Or that's for me to know and for you to figure out later.
No, thank you.
He saw himself in his beret and he had to take a moment.
We will leave you to your machinations, whether manual or automatic or other.
Just don't run on automatic.
Unable to achieve manual release with such tiny arms, the T-Rex is obviously the angriest of dinosaurs.
Good boy chokes himself.
Oh, dear.
Fuck off. Oh, not unless hold on. Unless, of course, the T-Rex could try to pull it off hands-free.
Wait a minute. Huh? Prudent. Let's say that you're ahead so you can quit with that, okay? Please.
He was actually referencing something.
Okay. I missed that one then.
Well, isn't that the way the T-Rex became extinct, because it couldn't masturbate?
Yep.
Yeah. Those tiny hands!
I don't understand how that's an extinction level event, though.
I don't know.
It just leads to more rape.
I just want to mention something. When I made the whole hands-free reference, that actually is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's
Yeah.
It's okay.
Speaking of which, not exactly. I came up with an interesting idea earlier today.
Ooh, nice.
Let us assume that God is real with all the attributes we normally give to God, that God created humanity and what have you. And let us assume that all this talk of the end times is actually real.
Okay.
Could this perhaps be our extinction event?
What?
Not that the end of the world is going to happen, but that God is fed up with us, and this is going to be our extinction event, and some other species is going to carry on after us.
No, but what's going to be our extinction?
We hope that.
The end times, whatever they are. the end times is a
whatever they are. I know. I know.
It's a metaphor for whatever causes our extinction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we hope that that the next life descends from us at least?
I would tend to think that if there was something to this kind of end time theology and this and that I don't think it would require the intervention of a god. I think it'd be more like the prediction of us doing something stupid.
Well, we are likely to off ourselves.
Yeah, we are. We are committing climate change. You know, that's only slightly killing off our planet by a bit.
That shit scares the crap out of me, man. Especially because the initial estimates were actually wrong in the direction we wouldn't like them to be.
Oh, you mean the global? Oh, you mean the climate change stuff that isn't real? I'm kidding.
It was more conservative. And
yeah, you're learning that sarcasm, Squid Boy.
We're looking towards worst case scenario. For one thing, what if they? Oh crap! Can't think of it. The oceanic.
If the current oceans,
the Atlantic current, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, if the currents stop, what we believe, or at least what we believe we know, I don't know. I don't know how hard the science is on it, but apparently that seems to be what causes ice ages.
Is that what you're, listening to? Is that what you're listening to, Shadow? Those science bullies fooling you with math and facts and figures and all that?
No, I mean, honestly, in terms of whether this actually was the direct
Gulf Stream
age or not, I wasn't sure whether we had a direct connection or if this was just a factor. I don't know. I didn't know if that was hammered out yet.
It is the Gulf Stream, and apparently, our last ice age event was caused by the shutdown of the Gulf Stream. If it gets too hot, the Gulf Stream will stop, which will plunge us into an ice age. That is theoretical, of course. But.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how solid the science is. What I do know of it looks like it's pretty solid, but I don't really know. I'm not my field. I haven't looked enough into it. But I do know from what the current hypotheses are, it looks like that's the case.
Yeah, and looking back into history, that looks like what happened. The Gulf Stream shut down. And the
a source of weird-ass noises, Nodvik. Hang on, I'm muting you for a few. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So the irony is that the increase in global temperatures could plunge us into an ice age.
Right. That's true.
So, yeah, lovely. I suppose, well, that I get most likely, but the question is whether it'll get to the point where we become a hothouse world first. I mean, it's with how radically it's changing, how rapidly, it's hard to say.
Well, because we've never really seen anything quite like this. We have seen increased temperatures over a fairly short period of time, but nothing quite like this, and that's because we are causing it. The only real question to climatologists is whether or not we are actually causing it, period, or whether we are causing a natural event to increase rapidly.
What we do know is
either way, it's our fault.
We're exacerbating it.
Yeah, what we do know is this, based on the research that's been done, it is shown that the temperatures are increasing at a higher rate in urban areas than in rural areas, and obviously, in urban areas where the population is more dense. That seems to be a giant indicator that, well...
A more recent study with 3,600 oceanic sensors has shown that the water temperature is actually increasing faster than they thought as well.
Yeah. Objection to the urban areas thing. There's a giant hole in the ozone layer above Australia that would beg to differ.
Again, the depletion of the ozone may not be strictly correlated to temperature. I'm
just saying Australia's heat up quite a bit. So.
But yeah, but that we're talking a different study, a different phenomena, different causal effect there. But even more so, I really hate it when holes start complaining and begging to differ, and just begging in general. Begging holes are not appealing holes.
Last year, Australia had to add 2 new colors to its climate map. To cover the increase in temperature. I actually did a video about it last year. They had to add 2, not just 1, 2 new colors because that's how hot it got last year.
So they broke 140?
I don't remember because, unfortunately, being an American, I do get Fahrenheit and Celsius confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't remember the calculation.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, it's an odd calculation. In doing work in the lab, which I haven't done for many years, I had no problem working with Celsius, but I'm now stuck with Fahrenheit, and I can never remember the actual conversion.
That was, let's see now.
I feel like.
Although I have to admit, I use Kelvin a lot too.
I feel like there's going to be no action on climate change until something really bad happens. And
Yeah.
Bad things already are happening. They still don't give a shit.
Well, it looks like the Pope is going to come out with a very strong statement on climate change, and guess which way it's going to go.
Which way?
I don't know if that'll do anything. The Pope is going to come out and say climate change is real, stop fucking around.
That's probably a good thing. It's say what you want about the Catholic Church or the Pope. At least this Pope's right on a lot of scientific issues.
Yeah, he's not an idiot, and he did broker the reconciliation between Cuba and the United States. So he's on the right track.
Oh yeah, I mean, didn't the Pope Francis? I think he worked like in a laboratory at least one time before he got into the clergy.
I don't remember. He has a very interesting history, though.
Yeah.
Being Italian from Argentina, and yeah, I mean of Italian ancestry from Argentina.
Hang on, the new colors, the deep purple that they added, is temperatures over 50 degrees Celsius, which would be over 122 Fahrenheit.
Oh, fucking
goody.
shit.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I've spent a fair amount of time in the desert here. I've never experienced 120 degree weather. The most I've ever experienced is 114. That's Fahrenheit, of course.
Incidentally, I would like to thank Google Search for making it look like I have some fucking clue as to what I'm talking about.
I can't remember with f of x if it's supposed to be times or divided by. Oh well.
Yeah.
no shame in going to the right source. I don't understand why people are ashamed of using Google or Wikipedia.
Well, it's more so that there are so many people ashamed to admit it. I do it all the fucking time.
Right.
Well,
Go ahead, please.
I was going to say, there's nothing wrong with using Wikipedia, especially if you check their resources. If you look at the bottom and you see that they've got adequate resources, they've adequate references, for what they're talking about. And the thing with Google is, unfortunately, there are a number of things that still are not online. I know that because I've been doing some recent research into the Victorian idea of race. And I've found out that there are a number of things that just simply aren't there because nobody's put them there. That doesn't mean that it isn't a good resource for anything contemporary. Because I would say anything from 2000 on is going to be there. Anything that happened from 2000 on. The further back you go, the more you might have some difficulty finding things. Another example is I've been looking for video of a particular idiot who ran for office here in California with an incredibly anti-homophobic stance. And I've always wanted to make a video using his image, but it isn't online. And it does not that it doesn't exist. It's archived everywhere in every news agency, probably in the country. But they haven't put that stuff online yet. More stuff is coming online all the time. As a matter of fact, the Vatican Library, in conjunction with Oxford, is putting all their stuff online, which is really cool. All of it. Oh, all of it.
I suspect there's lots of things they will hide. I do not hold on right there. They've got too much to cover up.
I doubt it, because since the 1960s and the Ecumenical Council, they've opened the library, and unless there's some magic room somewhere that somebody doesn't know about. No, one of the interesting things.
No, hang on. The reason why I'm laughing is because of all the lore pertaining to all these secret, magically locked rooms and all this weird crap they have about Vatican vaults.
Right.
Well, what I was going to say though is, you know what really opened up the Vatican vaults, and it's kind of funny. Anybody know what really opened them up?
Well, I thought it was Paul VI and Vatican II.
No, it's before that. It goes way back.
Why?
I'll give you a hint. It's a 3-letter word.
Ace. Die.
No, 3.
C.
No, it starts with an S.
Sex.
And sex. Yes, you're right. What happened was when Masters and Johnson and the Kinseys and all those groups started studying human sexuality, they realized that a lot of material was missing because it had been destroyed. Because over time, different rulers in different countries thought that, sexually explicit material was horrible and they had it destroyed. The thing is, the attitude in the Vatican was different. And I was raised with this, so I'm kind of familiar with this. They believed that you should never destroy anything. You should hide it away, of course, because there are certain people who shouldn't see it, so you couldn't destroy it. So about the only place that a lot of this material, this historical material, existed was in the Vatican Library. So sex researchers had to apply to the Vatican Library to go in and research all these ancient texts that discussed human sexuality. And they just had to prove that they were really sex researchers. And that kind of opened up the whole Vatican Library to everybody. That and the Ecumenical Council coming about the same time. The first Ecumenical Council, yeah.
You're certainly right that it does seem like in the late 40s and early 50s there is kind of a perception shift in the Catholic Church. They let those researchers in. They completely come out for Big Bang and evolution with no hesitancy back then. So something was going on.
Well, you have to also remember who came up with the Big Bang. It was a Jesuit priest. And unfortunately, I can't pronounce anything in French, but Georges Lemaitre or whatever.
That was close.
That's the guy that came up with the Big Bang. He was a Jesuit priest. Yeah.
Oh, well, the Jesuits have always been strong in science, too. I mean, very important in the history of geology, especially in America.
Well, and in paleontology, look at Teilhard de Chardin. I happen to know how to pronounce that one more or less. But yeah, the Jesuits have always been. One of the interesting things, just to let you know, is during the 1960s, the most ultra-conservative, to the point, extreme, ultra-conservative religious figure in the Catholic Church was a Jesuit. The most ultra-liberal, extreme liberal individual in the Catholic Church was also a Jesuit, which is pretty typical for the Jesuits. People always talk about, like, Jesuit conspiracy. They don't seem to realize that the Jesuits are intellectuals, so they disagree with each other all the time.
And viciously, because they are intellectuals.
Exactly. I
Okay,
can't remember the name of the two priests.
Since we're doing a little trivia, Jade.
Yeah.
Hey, Shadow? What's that, Shadow?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Since we're doing a little bit of trivia here, Jade. Who was it that started the Illuminati?
Oh, God, he was a Jesuit
Jesuit
priest. I can't remember his name. Yeah. And that was the Illuminati were a group in Bavaria. Can't remember his name. And
I love the Illuminati so much. They've improved our lives so much. I love the Illuminati. I really do.
They did a lot during those 10 years.
Yeah, I know. That's the part I think is so funny. By the way, there is a group of books. This isn't so much anymore, but it used to be, going back about 30 years or so, 30 to 40 years. There is a group of books called the Illuminatus Trilogy or something like that.
Robert Wilson, yes, they're extremely popular.
Yes, but people actually believe they were real.
Right.
They're fiction. But people believed they were real, and they tried to argue that the Illuminati were real because of these books. I've listened.
In the 1700s, they were real for about 10 fucking years.
I know, and the name stuck around. And
yeah.
Also, I don't believe in that dumbass nonsense. But what if I made the case to you that the world has really improved since 1782, and if there is an Illuminati, they're doing a damn good job.
Well, I can tell you from my personal experience and my educational understanding that the world has improved tremendously, or at least the United States has moved tremendously since the 1950s.
Absolutely.
So if the Illuminati are behind that, I'm all for them.
Okay, hang on. I'm sorry, we have to end this conversation now.
You got your
Oh,
membership
no.
card.
Yeah.
Oh, I want one. You motherfucker.
Sorry, they were only available in the 80s from Steve Jackson Games.
Okay, well, I'm not Bavarian, but I'm Bohemian, which is next door, so does that count?
No.
Fuck you,
You
too.
don't have to be Bavarian to be an Illuminati. Let's stop that right now.
Well, okay, it also depends on what year you're defining the lines, because my ancestors were part of the Bavarian Empire, or the Bohemian Empire. Sorry, backwards. Bavaria was part of the Bohemian Empire, so there.
If you mean the Habsburg, yes.
No, before then.
Oh, that's way
It
before.
actually was, for a brief period of time, a Bohemian Empire.
Well, that was brief, my friend.
Yeah. So.
But Bohemia, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Bohemia was made of a whole bunch of different things, or at least what today we call a whole bunch of different things. Back then, it was just Bohemia.
Yeah, they're a bunch of fucking Bohemians. Then they're
which is why I have a German last name and a Czech middle name.
For me,
your middle name is a check mark?
Yeah.
Yes, and it don't be silent.
Yeah.
I remember that. Okay, is it? And it's written like this then. Okay, I'll make that.
God, I could see a freaking person naming their kid Chiquita again and actually spelling it with a check mark now, and it's hurting my head.
Ouch! No, my middle name is actually far more mundane. It's Janda.
No, we're sticking with a check. We're sticking with a check. It's more.
Don't say your middle name ever.
Yeah, you are not, from now on a check mark.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do that too. One of the more fascinating things is in investigating family history. I found out that I'm not sure they're my relatives yet. Oh my God, you should see Freddie. I'm teasing him with a beef stick. Anyway, totally irrelevant. I found out there are people with our same name that made musical instruments, and I actually own a musical instrument made by the Janda Musical Instrument Company. I own a violin made by them.
Do you play?
Yes, I play cello actually, but I do play violin a little. I'd love to get a viola. That's what I'm really looking for, because I mostly, I play cello, but sometimes I play viola, but I don't have a viola. I have to borrow one.
Anyway, so do we have any other topics tonight?
Jason Byrne.
Oh, please. Okay, specifically what? Oh no, it's a banjo. Dear God, help us.
He plays banjo, so that's why he plays banjo.
Can you play this theme from Deliverance?
Please don't.
Sorry, that was bad. I apologize.
You know, it's very difficult for me. This is an ancient African instrument, and it's associated with a film about male rape and the fascination.
I know.
Okay?
I apologize, Blue.
This is an ancient Celtic instrument, and it's related to a video game now.
I would have to mention at this point, however, have any of you heard Dueling Tubas?
That must be pretty good, though.
There actually is a song, and it's called Dueling Tubas, and it's great.
Dueling Tubas isn't a porn title. Never mind.
I actually have. I plan to do some instrument building. I have a lot of parts here, and I'm going to do some instrument building because it's something I've always enjoyed doing.
What are you making?
I'm going to build a cocktail drum set out of a 55-gallon drum for one thing. And I've been doing some investigation into musical instruments from other countries, and there's some really cool instruments from Africa. No.
Oh,
Freddie, you can't eat my beef stick.
hey, we're getting thumbs down tonight. Yay.
Yay!
Yeah, I haven't been exactly topic rich tonight. But, you know, then again, we started with G-Men, and that usually leads to a bad shuffle. Oh, man.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out a way to make a kind of a variation of a banjo. I'm going to be making a mandolin out of a ham can, so it's going to be called a hamdolin.
Okay.
I know. It's not original. Other people have done it.
I am half tempted to invite the Forbidden Circle for the fuck of it.
If you start making wood
Fight
instruments,
the Forbidden Circle.
if you start making wood instruments, I'd like one of these.
What is it?
It's a kind of ocarina, but it's more like a whistle for this one.
I actually made an ocarina out of a Bayer aspirin bottle.
I've done that. Not out of
Yeah,
Bayer, but out
it's
of medicine
actually
bottle.
really cool. Yeah, well, no, I have these. I take aspirin for my arthritis, so I get these bottles. And one day I was looking at it, and I realized it's just about the right size for like a soprano ocarina.
Have you seen the Carrots ocarina, or ocarina if you prefer?
Oh yeah, I'm subscribed to a guy. Oh god, I can't remember his name right now. But he makes various instruments out of carrots, and he made a like a bass instrument out of a circle of hose, you know, garden hose.
Nice. Well, this one is made
really
by
cool.
Junji Koyama, so it was really good when I first saw it.
Oh, I've
years ago.
seen that one, yeah.
Mhm.
See, I love stuff like that. I love taking things that
I've just always loved the ocarina.
yeah. Well, I'll see
I
what I
have a
can
few
work
of them.
out. My dad introduced me to that when I was a little kid. He called it a sweet potato.
This
Yeah.
one is a sweet potato, but it's a sculpted one, so.
Yeah. Yeah, he bought me one when I was a little kid, and it was a lot of fun. Till I lost it.
This one, this is the second time I bought this one. It's a $169 one, and some passerby knocked my first one off of a table and it shattered on the concrete. And this new one has an imperfection right there. I don't know if you can see it, but it causes it to be just slightly airy, and I can hear it. Most people can't hear it when I play it, but I can hear it, and it pisses me off.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, did you ever think of trying some filler? Try to experiment a little bit with changing that opening?
I considered putting like super glue in it and then like evening it out and sanding it a little bit, but
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of various, you know, there's, I can't think of the name of the plastic right now, but there's a type of plastic that you can use as a filler.
maybe.
What the hell? Use Bondo. I'm actually very fond of automobile instruments. I have a number of brake drums. I play percussion. Don't laugh, brake drums have, I've actually used brake drums in an orchestra. In the local community orchestra, brake drums have an incredible sound. So do gears and saw blades. I have what I call the Chaos Tree that has a bunch of stuff like that on it. It's just, you know, all these things that we think of as just like castaway things have incredible sound to them. I'm trying to find a wheel to a. I have several ones listed that are possible. Go to the junkyard. A friend of mine is going to go with me. I'm going to try to find one of those wheels that have the spokes in them for automobiles. You know, the small import wheels that have the spokes in them. And I want to use it to make a snare drum. I've got it planned out in my head, and I'm pretty sure it'll work. I probably should mention I used to be a machinist. And I'm currently looking for a Bridgeport mill. Because what else to do in my retirement than to make really cool things out of metal and wood?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I found some Bridgeport mills that are really reasonable prices, but none of them near me. And that's the problem. You're talking about a great, big, huge thing. the transport is a problem for. So I've got to find something near. Eventually, I will find something.
Okay.
I have a.
One of the related videos to the Kara Ocarina on my screen is how to escape from handcuffs. I'm confused.
Oh, there was somebody who's.
Oh, that's interesting.
See, right over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a guy who electrified his entire kitchen, turning it into a musical instrument?
I have not. I've seen a lot of Tesla instruments though.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find it. I've got it on a playlist somewhere. But no, it was fun. That's not quite my thing. I mean, I do have several children's toys here that I intend to circuit bend. But
have you ever used a jaw harp?
yes, I have.
Oh,
That was something else my dad introduced me to. I come from a musical family.
Oh, there's like no hangouts going tonight.
Here you go.
Wow, how weird. Are you familiar with Buffy St. Marie?
Oh, she was great.
Oh no.
Oh wow.
She was.
Oh,
she
those
is an
haven't fired in years. Oh wow.
Yeah, I still listen to Buffy St. Marie now and then, but she used to use a Jaws harp in her music.
Nice.
Yeah, and she's Native American.
Right.
Yeah.
She's on Sesame Street. She was a regular on Sesame Street for a while too.
Yes, yeah, I forgot about that. You're right. See, I remember her from my youth. She's a fantastic musician. Wrote a lot of songs that with the Native American background. Incredible musician. But yeah, she used the Jew's harp or jaw harp and something. Apparently, the common, modern day jaw harp is similar to one that was part of her ancestry.
Oh, Cantina.
Yeah, let me see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can find.
It's a much chiller shuffle than we normally have.
This is the next ocarina I plan on buying right here.
Let's see. Okay, let me click on you here so I can see it.
I'll put the link in there if you want it.
Behave. Oh, okay, cool. That looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one thing I've never really been good at is ceramics. I've made stuff out of gourds and things like that before. I've never really explored ceramics. I've thought about it though.
Have you ever watched any of Doc Jazz's stuff?
No.
Have you ever seen Nyan Cat, the really annoying
Yes.
song thing? This is him playing it in like actual speed once it lets me copy the link. If it lets me copy the link, come on, there we go. And paste.
Okay, cool. I'll check that out. Yeah. No, I love music, and I love music that is I love music of the people, so to speak, and that includes things that instruments that people make themselves, and music that you make yourselves from whatever is surrounding you. I was fortunate enough
because I was too poor to have actual stuff.
Oh yeah. Do you know who Lou Harrison is or was?
No.
Okay, Lou Harrison was a very well-known modern composer. He's deceased now. I was fortunate enough to study gamelan music with him. Gamelan being the music of Indonesia.
Nice.
And gamelan is fantastic. It's in many ways, the music itself. When you look at a gamelan orchestra, it's not like a modern orchestra. For one thing, all the instruments are tuned together. So a gamelan set of instruments is all tuned together. And it's the music of there are various different variations from Indonesia or Java or whatever. But the thing is, each type of instrument plays a certain pattern. And you know how we normally look at a piece of music where we have the melody line, and then we have the other counter melody and whatever. Gamelan doesn't have that. It is the total of all the different lines that are played that you hear. as a total space. Nobody has the melody. There is no such thing as the melody.
Actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of Sibelius. I think it was Sibelius. Yeah, Sibelius it's a program that you could compose MIDI
Yes.
Files with. Back
Yes.
in 2004, I actually wrote a few in that program. Let's
Cool.
see. I don't know if I can play them on here somehow. Let's see. I don't know if there's an app for that. Apps. Toolbar, YouTube, Spotlight. I guess not, but I can upload them.
Okay.
What's the new version of RapidShare? Because I'm sure RapidShare isn't used anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dropbox, that's the new one,
But-
or MediaFire.
But one thing about gamelan music is what accompanies the shadow puppet shows. Are you familiar with shadow puppets?
Yes.
Okay, well, so shadow puppets, one of the interesting things about shadow puppets is in Indonesia, the shadow puppets tell the story of all the Hindu mythology, and yet Indonesia is Muslim. It's just kind of interesting. But the way the shadow puppets are supposed to work is you're supposed to watch the shadow puppet both from in front of the shadow puppet, but also from behind, because they're two different views. So if you go to a gamelan show that has shadow puppets, you're not supposed to sit in your chair and watch like Western music.
Mhm.
You're supposed to get up. You're supposed to walk around. You're supposed to sit on the stage. You're supposed to look at things from different views. It's a very different musical experience, and I love it.
Mhm.
If you ever have the chance to see one in your area, go to it and watch the people who know what's going on. You'll find them just like walk up on stage and sit next to the musicians and watch them. Sit from behind the shadow puppets and watch the puppet on the sheet from that version, or then walk around and see the front and watch that from that version. It's just a completely different and musical experience, and just totally brings you into the whole story. And generally, when they have children, the children get to sit right down in front because they're sort of privileged. And the stories are a little bit rude, shall we say?
Mhm.
For example, there's one story where I can't remember the exact story, but there's a god, and he's in disguise, and his sons are there, and he's like wearing the long skirt like they did. And the one son picks up the skirt and sniffs, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's Dad. Those are his farts." And the other son picks up the skirt and goes, "Oh yeah, that's Dad. Those are his farts." So, yeah, I find that amusing. Yeah, we can tell Dad from his farts. Oh boy.
This is the good one I wrote.
Let's see.
And copy link.
What are you doing, Fred? Oh wow. Freddie just did an incredible leap right over my computer. And Freddie, by the way, I appreciate you not landing on it.
Close, paste, enter. There you go. This is back in 2004. I would nowhere near be able to do the same thing if I downloaded it now.
Well, one of the reasons I bought an iPad is to play with all the music apps.
Mhm. Oh, it has music apps?
A ton of music apps. Oh yeah, and most of them even work on the older iPad because I have an older iPad.
Yep.
Just a
Folks, if you will, been a mellow night here on the Shuffle. I had some degree of fun, but I'm going to call it a little bit early tonight.
Alright,
Okay.
have a good one, man.
So I'm going to take her off air, and I will catch everybody later. Take care, and thanks for watching.